Okay, it's officially not just a moment anymore, it's a scandal. What started as a brutal on-court collision between Sophie Cunningham and Bria Hartley has spiraled into one of the most controversial stories the WNBA has seen in years. And now, Caitlin Clark has entered the chat, and she's not mincing words. Clark, the face of a new era, confirmed what fans feared most. Sophie Cunningham's knee isn't just injured, it's broken. We're not talking about a sprain or strain. We're talking serious damage. And the kicker? It all started with a hit that's now being called an assault by fans and insiders alike. If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. So let's rewind this tape, frame by frame, and look at how this entire situation is spiraling into a credibility crisis for the league. It all started with what, at first glance, looked like a hard foul. Cunningham drove to the rim, Hartley stepped in, and bam, contact. But the more you watch the footage, the harder it is to ignore the intent behind that movement. Bria Hartley didn't just try to defend the play. She launched herself. The angle, the timing, the knee, it wasn't basketball. It looked like retaliation. It looked like chaos. And now, it looks like it cost Sophie her season, maybe more. But what really set fans off wasn't the foul. It was the aftermath. Bria Hartley walked away smiling. Let that sit for a second. Sophie is writhing on the hardwood, clutching her leg, clearly in pain. Trainers are rushing to her side. Teammates are visibly shaken. And Hartley? She's smiling, walking off like she just nailed a game winner. And suddenly, the mood shifted. This wasn't just a bad moment. This was a pattern. A warning sign that had been flashing for years, and the WNBA just kept ignoring it. Let's talk about that pattern, shall we? This wasn't Hartley's first incident. Not even close. Fans with long memories are pulling receipts. And the list is messy. There was a game where she yanked Angel Reese by the ponytail like it was a bar fight. The reckless body check that nearly knocked Skylar Diggins out cold. The questionable bump into Rebecca Allen that ended with Allen on the ground and Hartley pretending she didn't even notice. She's everywhere, and the trend is clear. Bria Hartley plays dirty. And now, she's sidelined another key player, a fan favorite, a woman who's been grinding through pain, playing through injuries, and giving the WNBA everything she's got. Sophie Cunningham didn't deserve this. And the league's response? Well, there wasn't one. Not really. No ejection. No fine. No suspension. Just silence. The broadcast cut away. Commentators gave it a polite, unfortunate collision. And the league office? Quiet as ever. Business as usual. But the fans? Oh, they're not quiet. They're livid. Social media is blowing up. Hashtag Suspend Hartley is trending. Fans are flooding the WNBA's official accounts, demanding accountability. Comment sections are war zones. And through it all, there's one question echoing louder and louder. How many more players have to get hurt before the WNBA does something? Because right now, the league isn't just failing Sophie Cunningham. It's failing everyone. Caitlin Clark, the league's brightest young star, is now voicing concerns. She's not just standing by Sophie. She's putting the league on blast. Clark, who's already experienced her fair share of hard hits and overly aggressive defenses this season, knows what this means. If Sophie can go down like that, if Hartley can walk away laughing, then none of them are safe. And that's the core issue here. Player safety is now officially a joke. If the league lets this slide, they're telling every aggressive defender, every fringe player looking to make a name, every bruiser with something to prove, go ahead, hit them hard. We won't stop you. That's not just dangerous, it's irresponsible. Let's go deeper. The league has rules, technicals, flagrants, reviews. But when it comes to enforcement, it's a crapshoot. We've seen players fined for trash talk, suspended for social media posts, benched for jersey infractions. But when a player gets taken out physically, crickets. Where's the balance? Why is verbal emotion treated more seriously than physical harm? Why is a dirty play overlooked while a post-game mic drop costs you thousands? This inconsistency is killing the league credibility, and fans see it. And here's the thing no one in the front office seems to be thinking about. The future of the league depends on trust. The WNBA is growing. New fans, bigger TV deals, corporate sponsors finally opening their wallets. But none of that survives without stars. Without players like Sophie, like Caitlin, like Skylar, Angel, Brianna, Eric, and everyone else who brings flair, passion, and eyeballs. And if those stars don't feel safe, if they keep getting taken out by reckless plays while the league does nothing, they're going to speak up. Or worse, they're going to walk away. You think sponsors want to back a product where one of the most beloved players gets assaulted mid-game and the league shrugs? You think parents want to push their daughters toward a league that doesn't even protect its own? Let's talk about that too, because this isn't just about optics. It's about culture. There's an entire generation of young girls watching the W, looking up to these women, dreaming of going pro. And this is what they're seeing, that if you're good enough to be a threat, you're good enough to be a target, that hard work and passion make you vulnerable to violence, and no one will stop it. That's not empowerment. That's trauma with a jersey on. And Bria Hartley? She's not the villain of this story because she plays physical. She's the villain because she plays reckless. And the league lets her. Because at this point, it's not just her actions. It's the lack of consequences. This is what happens when a league doesn't clean up its own mess. The players suffer. The fans rage. The brand takes a hit. And by the time leadership decides to act, it's too late. It already is too late for Sophie. Her season? Gone. Her recovery? Uncertain. Her career trajectory? Paused. Derailed. Put at risk by someone who walked away without even a warning. You know what this moment is? It's the league's alarm bell. And right now, the WNBA is hitting snooze. But the fans? The players? The families? They're wide awake. And if the league thinks this story will blow over, that the noise will die down, that they can PR spin their way out of this, they're dead wrong. Because this isn't a scandal that fades. It's a reckoning. And if they don't step up, they'll watch their future stars burn out, their ratings drop, their credibility crumble. This moment isn't just about Sophie. It's about what kind of league the WNBA is going to be. One that protects its stars, or one that protects its silence. Stay tuned, because this storm is just getting started. Why has this been allowed to happen for so long? Let's not pretend Hartley just started pulling this stunt last week. This isn't her bad game moment. This is a pattern years in the making. But if it's so obvious to fans, so well documented by players and media alike, why hasn't anyone stepped in before now? Let's go ahead and call it what it is. The WNBA has a culture problem around enforcement. A good league doesn't just hand out rules. It enforces them. It protects its product, its people, its reputation. But the WNBA? It's been enforcing discipline selectively. If you say the wrong thing in a post-game presser, fine. If you retweet something spicy, technical foul energy. But if you commit a physical act of violence disguised as defense, good luck even getting a foul called, let alone a suspension. It's a weird hierarchy of accountability. Like image matters more than integrity. And Bria Hartley has been operating in the shadows of that broken system. She's not some unstoppable scorer, not a household name with MVP chance. But she is consistently one thing: chaotic, physical, borderline dangerous. And nobody has pulled her aside to say, hey, you're crossing a line. So she keeps pushing it. Further, harder, meaner, until someone gets hurt. Until Sophie Cunningham'S knee breaks. But let's go beyond Hartley, because she's not the root of this. She's a symptom. The system let this fester. And now the league has a full-blown infection, and no one wants to admit it. And here's where it gets even more uncomfortable. The double standards within the league itself. If anyone else had been in Hartley's shoes, say, a more visible, more marketable player, do you really think the league would have let this slide? Imagine if this had been Caitlin Clark delivering the hit. Imagine the outrage, the viral media cycle, the instant league statement. Or better yet, imagine if a male player in the NBA had done something similar. Not only would there be a flagrant foul, there'd be days of think pieces, heated debate shows, fines, and possibly a suspension. But here in the WNBA, radio silence. like it never happened. Why? Because Sophie doesn't fit the polished poster girl mold? Because Bria's incidents don't trend often enough to stir the pot? Because women's sports are tough, and they want to brand that toughness even if it means players get hurt? The hypocrisy is exhausting. And the fans? They're done playing nice. They watch this league lean into its identity as a beacon for social justice, a leader in activism, a place where voices matter. But now, that mission statement feels hollow. Because the loudest voice right now should be the league's, and it's silent. Let's go somewhere even heavier. Player mental health and trauma after violent in-game injuries. This is the part of the conversation that no one wants to have. But it matters. You think Sophie's only battling a physical injury right now? Think again. She's dealing with betrayal, with public dismissal, with being the face of a controversy she didn't ask for, with the weight of knowing the league isn't just indifferent. It might actively be brushing her off. And while that's happening, she's watching the footage circulate online, watching her injury become content, while the league moves on like it's just another box score. She's reading every comment, every tweet, every lukewarm take. And the one voice she hasn't heard? The league's. There's no official apology, no league rep visit, no formal review notice. Just her family, and thousands of fans filling in the silence. Do you know what that does to a person? What it means to get hurt in a public space and then be told, through silence, that your pain doesn't matter. That kind of abandonment hits hard, especially when you've built your entire professional identity around being tough, being resilient, being the one who keeps going. Sophie's not just healing from a torn-up knee. She's healing from a feeling of being expendable. And if the WNBA doesn't get ahead of this, if they don't start showing up with real care, real action, and real change, they're going to lose more than just Sophie. They're going to lose the trust of their own players. Let's shift gears again, because there's something else at play here. Something happening in the locker rooms, behind closed doors. Let's talk about fear. There's a quiet fear now among players that anyone could be next, not just from getting injured. That risk is baked into every sport, but fear that if it happens to them, they'll be left behind too. It's one thing to tear your ACL and know you'll have rehab support, a clear timeline and league-wide backing. It's another to be hurt by another player's actions and realize that the system doesn't care enough to even call it what it is. Dirty play? Reckless contact? Nope, just part of the game. That's a terrifying reality to play in. You think stars like Aya Wilson, Nafisa Collier, or Elena Del Don aren't clocking this? You think veterans, rookies, and overseas players alike aren't mentally taking notes? Because they are. They're watching, they're waiting, and some of them, they're starting to plan their exits. You don't stay loyal to a league that lets you get hurt and then blames the calendar for not reviewing it in time. You just don't. And before you think this is just one bad situation, let's talk about how leagues lose people. Leagues don't collapse in one big scandal. They corrode slowly. One injury ignored. One dirty player protected. One fan base alienated. One star who quietly leaves in free agency and never says why. Then suddenly, people start tuning out. Sponsors hesitate. Broadcasters ask for less risky content. And just like that, the energy's gone. And that's where the WNBA is right now. Teetering. This isn't just a Sophie issue, or a Hartley issue, or even a player safety issue. This is a legitimacy issue. Because what kind of league are you if you let your stars get brutalized and walk it off with a PR quote? What kind of league are you if the thing you punish most harshly is speaking out? What kind of league are you if your silence says more than your statements? We're not at the end of this story. Not even close. And unless someone in that front office wakes up and gets real about what's happening, the damage won't just linger. It'll become the WNBA's legacy. You feel that? That's the moment before the break. And the clock is ticking. And here's why. In sports, you can survive a scandal. But when you start being known for not protecting your stars, that's when the ship starts to sink. Let's go inside the boardroom for a second. Because while fans are angry, sponsors are watching with calculators. Big companies don't just want exposure. They want safe exposure. They want positive values, community engagement, leadership. They want to sponsor a league that lifts women up, not one that lets them get taken down mid-game with no accountability. And if they think that associating with the WNBA means signing up for viral clips of busted knees and league inaction, they will walk. Quietly, quickly, and permanently. Because no one wants to be the brand that backed a league during its bad PR era. You know what else no one wants to be? The next Sophie Cunningham. We've already talked about how players are shaken. But let's go further. Let's talk about what happens next season, next offseason, next draft. Imagine you're a projected first-rounder. You spent years dreaming of getting into the league. Now you're seeing what happens when a player gets hurt, not even by accident, but by a repeat offender, and the league does nothing. You see the silence. You see the way Hartley gets protected while Sophie gets sidelined. You see how the league buries the story while fans scream for justice. And you think, why would I throw myself into that? Why would I sign a contract to join a league where your entire career can get wrecked in a second and the system just shrugs? That's the real threat here. Not just the injury, but the example it sets, the precedent, the loud, unspoken message. We won't stop it. We won't talk about it. And we won't protect you. And don't even get me started on player reputation management. Because if you're Bria Hartley right now, your name is toxic. Your history is internet archived. You're not just a physical defender anymore. You're the WNBA's walking red flag. You think coaches aren't whispering about her in staff meetings? That GMs aren't thinking twice before renewing contracts? You think fans won't show up to boo? Sponsors won't pull out of player deals? Teammates won't side-eye her in the locker room? Because make no mistake, what happened stuck, and the league's refusal to even review it, that just gave it staying power. That ensured that Bria Hartley's name won't be mentioned without this story trailing behind it like a shadow. And honestly, that's on the WNBA. If they had responded quickly, made a clear statement, launched a disciplinary process, even issued a temporary suspension, this would have stayed a controversy. Now, it's a defining event. And while we're here, let's talk about the one group we haven't talked about yet. The refs. Oh, yeah, we're going there. Because none of this goes down the way it did without a referee crew that decided to just look away. Let's be blunt. How did that not even warrant a flagrant review? Are we just pretending that contact to the knee isn't dangerous now? That the follow-through wasn't excessive? That smiling after a player collapses in pain doesn't deserve at least a tech? This wasn't a bang-bang play. This wasn't two players diving for the ball. This was one player making direct contact with another's lower body, in motion, with a known injury risk zone. And the refs? Shrugged. And this is not a one-off. WNBA officiating has been inconsistent for years. But this moment right here, it exposed the exact reason why that inconsistency has become dangerous. It's not just bad optics. It's a safety hazard. When players don't trust the refs to call it straight, they either play cautiously and lose their edge, or they retaliate and the game devolves into chaos. You can't keep asking athletes to play at 100% when your officiating operates at about 65% awareness. And don't say the refs didn't see it. The cameras saw it. The audience saw it. Twitter saw it before the replay even aired. So what's the excuse? What happened to ref accountability? Are they being reviewed? Reprimanded? Is someone, anyone, asking them to explain what they saw? Because if that play didn't raise a red flag for review, then what even qualifies anymore? Do players have to get stretchered off for someone to say, maybe we should take another look? And don't tell me they missed it in real time. You've got replay. You've got assistance. You've got instant access to footage. You just didn't use it. And that decision, to ignore it, has now defined the game, defined the injury, and defined the entire league's handling of it. But here's where it gets even more twisted. We're now at a point where the fans are doing more investigating than the league itself. Think about that. Fans are digging up Hartley's foul history, clipping past incidents, slowing down footage, tracking her matchups. Reddit threads are breaking down defensive schemes like it's a courtroom deposition. Twitter is on full detective mode. Instagram accounts are posting timelines of Hartley's altercations like it's a true crime series. Meanwhile, the WNBA, not a peep, not a single indication that they're even looking into this with the same level of concern. The irony? If the league had just addressed it early, just admitted it was being reviewed, taken seriously, it would have calmed the storm. Now, they've created an independent tribunal of fans who are holding them accountable, and they're not letting up. This isn't just a PR headache anymore. It's a full-scale revolt. And again, this all comes back to one thing: accountability. Not just for Bria Hartley, not just for the refs, but for everyone who let this moment pass by without action. Sophie Cunningham is sitting at home, leg in a brace, career on pause, while the league that sold her jersey just a few weeks ago can't even say her name in a statement. Caitlin Clark had to be the one to confirm the injury was that bad. Not the team, not the officials, not the WNBA. And now the league has lost control of the story. Because when you refuse to tell the truth, people will write it for you. And guess what? We're still writing it. So go ahead. Ask yourself the uncomfortable question: what does the WNBA really stand for right now? Because if it's not safety, not transparency, not accountability, then what's left? We're not done yet. There's still fallout coming. Still people to answer. Still silence to break. And we'll be here for every single second of it. This isn't just drama. This is the story that's going to define the season. Keep watching. Keep talking. And don't let them bury this. Because Sophie deserves better. And so does the league.